All right, welcome, guys. We have a quick little series of videos on sleep. It's like a subunit that we're covering. Honestly, sleep is one of those things that is associated with every single system. But I think this is one of the most important things to discuss because we obviously need to sleep every single night, and many of us, unfortunately, are not getting enough. So, this is something that does need a little bit more attention. So, let's go ahead and discuss this a little bit. So, first and foremost, why is sleep important? Well, obviously, we need to sleep for survival, right? It's been recorded that the longest anyone's ever gone without sleep is 11 days. After 4 days, you're already hallucinating. So it would be an extreme situation at that point, obviously. But quality of sleep directly affects numerous body systems, including but not limited to productivity, emotional balance, brain and heart health, immune system, creativity, vitality, and even weight loss or weight gain. If you're someone who's trying to gain weight, especially for muscle mass, sleep is a big deal. So literally, it sounds almost hyperbolic, but the amount of sleep that you get has a direct effect on everything. So, are you trying to have clearer skin? Get more sleep. Are you trying to remember more things for a test coming up? Get more sleep. All of this stuff is directly linked. The brain is unable to undergo maintenance. Is able, sorry, to undergo maintenance to keep your body running and prepare you for the day ahead. So, what happens on a nightly basis is your brain reboots. It remembers everything that you did that day and recaps it all, and then it prepares you for the next day. On the moments that you don't get enough sleep, what ends up happening is your brain has to sacrifice some of these things to keep you alive, right? It's not going to give up the essential stuff, but it's going to say, hey, maybe today you're not as productive, or you're more emotionally unstable, or you're going to have more, you're going to be more prone to getting sick today. Lots of things can happen. Common misconceptions about sleep. Let me go ahead and just drag this over here. Number one, getting one less hour per night won't affect your functioning. That is a big myth. While you may not feel noticeably sleepier, it can cause an accelerated rate of mental fatigue and make you more prone to infection. So you will become tired as the day progresses faster. I see this all the time with students that I teach, right? There'll be instances where it's fifth, sixth, seventh period, it's already after lunch, and people are collapsing, people are crashing hard. Your body adjusts quickly to different sleep schedules. That's a big myth as well. It can take more than a week to adjust to changing time zones or working through the night. So this is a big deal with flying. When you're flying in different time zones and different, and you're adjusting where it's the sun sets at a different time, sun rises at a different time. That can 100% affect just how well you are sleeping and how well your body adapts to that. So it can take quite some time for this. Myth number three, which is arguably the biggest myth: you can make up lost sleep by sleeping more on the weekends. It doesn't work like that. While sleeping on the weekends can help pay off sleep debt, it will not completely make up for lack of sleep. Not to mention, it more so disrupts your sleep cycle. You got to think of it mathematically. There are 7 days in the week. If 5 of those days you're going to school or you have a job or whatever the case may be, so you have a routine as far as when you're supposed to go to bed and when you're supposed to wake up. Even in those 5 days, if you're not sleeping enough, the 2 days of the weekend that you're just drastically sleeping a lot more is doing more harm than good. Your body's being tossed all over the place as far as your normal routine. What's been proven is that if you're going to sleep more on the weekends, which is normal, you should try to sleep about an hour more than your normal day-to-day basis. Now that can be very difficult. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning every day for school. I do not wake up on Saturdays and Sundays at 6:30 in the morning. That's way too early. I aim more for like 9 o'clock. That's more reasonable for me, and that's still a little beyond what my normal schedule is, but that's more within reason for what I can accomplish than something like waking up at 1 p.m., for instance. And lastly, because this is a very short one, we're just going to do a couple of the slides today, and then next video we'll finish up the next rest of the slides. What is sleep debt? Like financial debt, it is a similar concept. Let's say you sleep 4 hours instead of the 8 needed. You then owe your body 4 hours of sleep the next day. This type of debt can stack up, and unfortunately, the body eventually adapts to it. So if you have a full week where you're barely sleeping, as the week progresses, there's a reason why you start to really just get destroyed. You feel like you're dragging yourself through. And finally, Friday hits, and you're like, oh, please just get done with this stuff because you have all the sleep debt that you've been accumulating. Now, one of the ways that people deal with sleep debt that unfortunately can become a very toxic process is napping. Naps have shown to be very helpful, but don't assist with actual rejuvenation that your body desperately needs. Taking a nap can help with the debt, but your sleep balance returns to zero. So think of like a bank account. If you use too much money in the account, you're now in the red, you owe money, right? So you can't use the account anymore and you owe the bank money. Let's say you owe $5. Eventually you're like, okay, I got the money. I'm so sorry. You pay off your $5. Do you have any money in your account? No, you're back to zero. You're back to nothing. That's what happens when you nap. So let's say you have a situation where someone sleeps for 4 hours instead of the 8 that's required. You owe your body 4 hours of sleep. You go home, you take a nap for 4 hours. All you've done is return back to zero. You haven't actually become more rested. You haven't done anything to earn rest for your body. And rejuvenate is the big word there. So that's why naps can be such a toxic thing. I've said it many times. If you're going to fix your sleep cycle, the number one thing is to cut naps out cold turkey. Absolutely cut naps out. And it's going to suck. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a hard process. But if you cut naps out, you can train your brain to eventually adjust and say, okay, when it's this time, I need to fall asleep. It's late. It's the sun's already set. I'm getting more and more tired. It's time for me to go to bed, right? And then eventually, once you get to that point, you can actually condition yourself to take naps that are regular, healthy amounts. 30 minutes up to an hour is an adequate amount for a nap. Anything longer than that, and that's not great for you. This cycle will become even worse for individuals suffering from sleep disorders, and that's stuff that we will discuss more about in the next video. So, guys, thank you for tuning in for this one. Like I said, this is a super short 2-part thing, but I appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next one.